morning and welcome to math class. I want you to be sure and take out your memory work folder and turn to the yellow section and then go back to the files page, and I want you to be clicking every day on the 3s and 4s song that I've recorded for you. You need to be singing the 2 songs where we count by 3s and count by 4s every day. That's going to be very important next week, and you're going to need to know those because you've done them all week. This week, you'll need to know them for next week. But right now, you can either pause me and go do that, or you can stick with me. We are going to talk about equal parts as fractions, and you should have your book out to page 75. We're going to do a lot of the things in the book today together because they have really great drawings for fractions, and you're going to want to look at those. So I want to just tell you a little bit about what this means up here. A fraction is something that you've had a lot of experience with already. When your mom makes you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and she cuts it in half, that's a fraction. When she cuts it into 4 pieces, that's a fraction. She's cut it into quarters, into 1/4. You will eat 1/4 of the sandwich at the time. So we're going to talk about how to do those, how to identify and write fractions this week, and different things that you can do with fractions. It has to have equal parts. And so if you notice on my board here, it says equal parts as fractions. If I were to draw 2 lines here, would you say that that has equal parts? Yes, okay. If I were to draw 2 lines here, would you say that this shape has equal parts? No. So in order for it to be a clean fraction where you can name the parts, they have to be equal. Would you say that this shape is cut into equal parts? Okay, yes. Would you say that this shape has been cut into equal parts? Of course not. All right. Same thing goes along. We're not going to use that rectangle there for just a minute. How many parts was this one split into? 1, 2, 3 parts. So of all the parts, there are 3. If I were to just color in one of those 3, I have 3 parts and I colored in one of them. I just wrote the fraction 1/3. I colored in 1 out of 3 parts in the whole thing. This one has more than 3 parts. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So out of 4 parts altogether, if I color in 1 square, or 1 part of the shape, 1 part, I have colored in 1 part out of 4 parts altogether, so I have 1/4, exactly. If I were to take this shape and I were to just draw straight across, do I have equal parts, first of all? Yes. How many parts do I have? I have 2 parts. So the bottom number is always how many parts to get to 1. I have 2 parts in my one whole shape. So that one always goes on the bottom. The top number tells you how many pieces of that you're looking at. So I'm going to color in 1 of the parts. So I have colored in 1 of the 2 parts, so I have colored in 1/2 of my shape. Those are fractions. Simple, okay? I want you to go to the bottom of page 75. It looks like these little blue things right here, and you're going to answer those with me. You're going to tell me the shapes that are divided into equal parts. If you look at A, is that equal or not? It's not. The middle section is a little thinner than the other ones. What about B? Do they have equal parts? Yes. Look at C, the square. Equal parts? Yes, there are. What about D, the rectangle? Equal parts? You're right. Yes, it does. What about E? We do have 3 parts. Are they equal? Not exactly. The section on the left is a little bigger than the other one, so those are not equal parts. What about F? Equal parts. Notice that for F, There was a line drawn as a diagonal. Can we do that? Has your mom ever given you a sandwich where she cut it down the middle like that and gave you triangles? I bet she has. Are you getting hungry? Please turn the page to page 76. We're talking about fractions here in a way of dividing. When we did our song about the answer to division is the quotient, we did this cutting motion because when you cut things into equal parts, you divide. So if I divide it, if you look at this big cake right here, or this loaf of bread, I guess they called it, they divided it into 3 equal parts. So the whole piece of bread, if you're looking at that piece, at that page, the whole piece of bread is cut up into 3 equal parts. So 1/3, 1 out of 3 of those parts, that's cut into thirds. We have 1/3. If we added the next 1/3 of the cut, and then we added the next 1/3 of the cut, we would have the whole loaf of bread. So 1/3 and 1/3 and 1/3 gives you one whole loaf of bread in that picture. This is called a fraction, okay? So I want you to go to page 77 in your book, and we're gonna do this together, looking at this page right here. You're gonna answer the questions in green. The circle, do you see with the red on it, is a fractional part, okay? So what part of the fraction is shaded? He's thinking, the little boy is thinking, what fraction of the circle is shaded? Well, the whole is made up of how many parts? The whole thing is made up of how many parts? 4 parts. So 1 part, the first green thing here, 1 part out of the, 1 part out of the, how many equal parts? 4 equal parts is shaded. And so what would be our fraction to represent this? Remember that the number of parts all together goes at the bottom. So we had 4 parts, and how many were shaded? It should look like that, 1/4. Look at the little chicken pot pie that's at number 3 there. Sam bought a chicken pot pie. He cut the pie into how many equal pieces? Class, say it. 3. He ate 1 piece. What fraction of the pie did he eat? Well, he ate 1 piece. Is that our answer? No, because it's asking for the fractional part, so we have to have cut it into pieces. How many pieces was it cut into? Well, look at your picture there. He has 1, 2, 3 pieces, and he ate 1 of them. So what fractional part of the pie did he eat? He ate 1/3 of the pot pie. He was a hungry dude. Turn the page, please. You're looking now at page 78. You're going to get to make some of these in the next day or so with your mom. But I want you to look at the top there and just look at it. How do you read fractional parts? So if you look at this top section where you have rectangles, if you have half of it colored, 1 out of 2 parts is read as 1/2. In words at the top of your page, it says 1/2. I want you to notice particularly, students, that the dash goes in between fractions. Because you're dealing with a line right here, remember that that same kind of line has to go in between when you write it for words, showing that it is a fractional part and doesn't have a whole thing that you're talking about. So this one's 1/2. The next one, if you'll notice on your page there, is 1/3. We have 2 lines. One of them is colored in, so we have 1 part colored in out of 3 parts in the whole. And so that is 1/3. Notice we have to also have the dash there. And then the last one I'm not going to write on the board is 1/4. 1 out of 4 parts are colored. And you could also call that 1/4. How many quarters does it take to make a whole dollar? 4. So we can call that a quarter. Isn't that fun that you already know that about money? So go to guided practice on page 78, right there below, with where you have triangles right here. And answer these with me. I want you to take out a piece of paper if you have one to write these on. You can pause me if you need to get a little piece of paper. Number 4, you're going to talk about your answer in 2 different ways. You're going to write it in words and you're going to write it as a fraction. So looking at number 4 with your triangles there, which part of the figure is shaded? So the shaded part goes on the top of your line. I want you to write it down and then check with me. Okay, we have 1 part shaded out of 4 triangles altogether in the whole. It's divided into 4 little triangles. And we would call that in words 1-4th. Spelling word. You've had 4th as a spelling word. Good. Look at number 5 right here, the green one. Number 5 is a triangle divided into this many parts, and this is shaded. How would you write that as a fractional part? We put the amount that's shaded on the top. What did you put? Should be a 1/2, a 1 out of 2 parts altogether, which is 1-1/2. Yeah, you're getting this, really nice. Move on to the little fun page 79 here. You can use model drawings to show a whole in different ways, okay? This model at the top of the page, I'm reading along, it shows a whole bar with 2 equal parts. Now you've drawn those yourself, so you're really good at this already. You know that 1 part plus 1 part equals 2 parts or 1 whole. So we're still talking about that part whole that we've been talking about all year. Part whole. We're just dealing with different parts. Okay, so the number of red parts in that little rectangle would be 1. The number of parts in all would be 2. So the red part is showing you 1/2 as a fraction, and the yellow part of the whole is the other half of the fraction. If you put the 2 halves together, what do you get? Yeah, you get a whole. Oh, very fun. All right, moving down to the guided practice at the bottom of 79. Please have your pencil ready. You're going to answer these, and we're going to go over the answers together to make sure you understand. This is page 79 with this little colorful bar right here. The model shows 1 whole divided into equal parts. So name each part. You do that on your paper while I draw my bar, and we'll get back together for the answer. Please fill in on your paper what you think the answer is. While I color my fun little coloring page here. I do love colors. Okay, I'll leave those all lids off. Okay, so what part does this represent? What did you write? Well, how many parts do you have all together? Okay, you have 4 parts all together to get to your 1 bar. So this is 1/4, and the next one would have been 1/4. This one is 1/4 is this color, and 1/4 is this color. So do you see we've divided into fourths? And how many fourths do we have? 4 fourths make the whole bar. Okay, so if you were going to complete the sentence in number 7, complete the sentence, you would say 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4 make 1 whole. Clearly, again, class, we're talking about parts and the whole. Same thing you've been doing, but now you get to write it in a fancy way. Woo! Okay, look at number 8. What fraction of each figure is shaded? Of the circle there, you have a blue circle. What fractional part? Write it down for number 8. You should have written 1/3 of the circle, because you have a circle here and this part was shaded, so you have 1 out of 3 parts shaded. Look at number 9. How much of the square is shaded? Write your answer. It should have been 1/4. Yes, you guys are getting this. All right, move to page 81. This is the last Let's Practice Together. This is going to set you up so that you are ready to do your workbook. Which shape is divided into equal parts? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Which one's equal? C is equal. Okay, what fraction of each shape is shaded right here? Looking at number 2, you can look in your book or up on the screen. This would be, what fraction? Write it down, please. It would be 1/2, 1/2. I'll write it up here in purple, 1/2. What about the circle, the next one? It would be 1/4. Yes, you have one part colored of 4 parts in the circle. What about the giant rectangle there on number 2 on page 81? It would also, oh, I made a mistake. The rectangle, the fractional part of the triangle that they did, it would be 1/3. Mrs. Lecce made an error. See, you caught me. Good job. And then 1/4 for the square, for the circle. And then for the big rectangle, you got it. What was it? 1/2. 1/2 is shaded. All right, I want you to look at number 3, and I want you to write them in words while I erase. Look at the diagram. Number 3, page 81. Write your answers, please. If you're not sure how to spell it, we'll go over it here in just a moment. All right, the first one. How would you write this one? 1, remember your dash. 1/3, which would look like this. 1/3. Third has been a spelling word. What did you put for this one? 1/4. Spelling word. 1/4 of the blocks are colored. 1/4 pieces. Of this one, what did you put? Now that looks very similar, but it's not the same box that's shaded. Do you think that matters? No, because you could take a bite of your candy bar right out of the middle, and it would still be 1/3. Or 1/3. I want you to be careful when you get to your homework for today to make sure that you're really noticing whether the pieces are divided evenly. I want you to take a look now. Turn your page to page 82. At the top, each model shows a whole that's been divided into equal parts. This is just like these bar models that you've been doing all along, but now we're dealing with this being the whole thing. Here are your parts, obviously. This part would be 1/3. This part would be 1/3. And what would your final part be? Write that down. Now, if you were to complete the number sentence, I just want you to notice if we add 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, 1, 2, 3, we end up with one whole thing. One whole, which is the same as 3/3. We have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. We have 3 of those, 3 groups of those, equals a whole. All right? Look at number 5. I want you to look at them and decide if the number sentence and the rectangle models match. I'll give you a moment to do that. All right, let's look at it together. The first one, we have number 5 here. We have 3 parts, each is 1/3. So we should have 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 1. Is that what we have here? No, we only have 1/3 plus 1/3, so this is not correct. They don't match. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 1. Is that true? Yes, so that one would get a check mark by it, but don't write in your book. This one is divided into 2 parts. This is 1/2. This is 1/2 equals 1. Is that correct? Yes. And then the last one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. So this should be 1 out of 5 parts. They have 1 out of 4 parts. So is this correct even already to the start? No, because you should have 1/5, not 1/4, because you have 5 parts in the whole. So that would not get a check. All right? Hooray! You're ready for fractions. So let's have you turn now in your workbook to pages 45 through 50. Read the directions carefully. It's going to ask you things about check whether they match or check whether they're divided into equal parts. You're going to need to know what those directions say in order to get the answers correct. Enjoy fractions. I look forward to seeing your work later on today. Have fun. Bye.